All right, welcome to 1.3, Studying and Observing Children. Your objectives after listening to this is being able to recognize the benefits of studying children, being able to assess Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, explain Brazelton and Greenspan's 7 basic needs of all children, and develop your observation skills. Okay, there are many benefits to studying children. Okay, learning about children is going to help you better understand yourself as you continue to develop. One of your future goals may be to become a responsible parent, and studying children will help you achieve that. You may be even interested in a career in the child-related field. All adults, regardless of parenthood or career, we have a responsibility to protect children, so it's very good that you're taking this class. Okay, so that first reason, understanding yourself. Many adults are not fully aware that who they are today is a result of the children that they once were. As you study children, you can gain insight into your own growth, development, and values. You can also understand how your values affect your feelings about and your reactions to children. So if you're a big child person, you love being around children, versus if you don't, you might be able to understand why after you take this class. This knowledge will also help you learn better ways in which to care for children. Studying children can help you develop too. It can help you appreciate all that goes into taking first steps or saying a first word. When you help a child overcome a fear or learn a new skill, you're going to feel good about that. Children can share gifts that adults often outgrow. They have an awe for beauty. They are very frank about things. If a kid tells you you're fat, I'm sorry, you're fat. They don't lie. And their world of magic just pleases us adults because we're so interested in hearing the crazy things that they say. Okay, another reason to study children is so that you can become a responsible parent. Okay, parenting is a huge mind-boggling task. How much we know about children is a lot. However, if you don't put yourself in those shoes and learn about the research and understand what we do know about children, then you might not be a great parent. The more you know about children, the better parent you will be. Okay, a responsible parent meets all of their children's needs. So by studying, you will know your child's needs at each stage of development and the best way to respond to those needs. Okay, another one is working with children. In the past, we thought that all the knowledge and skills that we needed for child-related careers, like parenting, came naturally to us, but that is not true. A lot of people felt that just being raised in a family teaches you everything that you need to know about children and how to care for children, but that's not true. Today, we know that understanding children requires a lot of careful study. Changes continue to take place in society and in families, and these changes require people to know a lot more about children's growth and development than what they are able to observe in their own families. Adults with child-related careers should study children. Some careers may seem to focus mainly on one aspect of child's development, but the child is a whole person. Anyone who is preparing for a child-related career should know something about all aspects of a child's growth and development: their intellectual, their physical, their social, emotional. Okay, learning more about children will enable workers in child-related careers to provide better care for children. So if you're one of those, that's very important. Lastly, the last benefit to studying children is it helps us protect children's rights. Okay, people live in a child-centered society. This is a society that sees children as important, cares about their well-being, and works to meet their needs. Some children also experience a great deal of harm through abuse and neglect. Children need safe environments. They need homes, schools, and other places where they can develop to their full potential. All children should have the chance to grow in an environment that promotes their health and well-being. By studying children, you will learn how to provide these safe places. In the U.S., parents have the rights of guardianship and can determine their children's upbringing. For example, your parents control your level of financial support. They also control your religious and moral teachings, as well as your education and healthcare choices. The state can only come between a parent and child if the court feels that the child needs more protection than the parent is giving them. Each state makes laws and policy to protect children. The state can make laws to develop child welfare services. Each state has a department concerned with children's welfare and the obligations and responsibilities of parents. These state departments are called Department of Human Services or Child Protective Services. These offices are staffed with caseworkers who work to make sure laws and policies are being carried out by families who have children who are minors, so under the age of 18 or Nebraska 19. For example, laws exist regarding the quality of child care programs, school attendance, child labor, and illegal drug sales to help protect children in society. State laws also protect children from the results of their own lack of judgment. For example, young children are not legally responsible for their contracts. Okay, so if you are 5 years old and you promise your buddy $1 million if he wins a bet, sorry, you're not legally responsible to give him $1 million. Okay, children are treated differently from adults in court too. The state can make laws to develop child welfare services. Children have gained rights too. Examples are the rights of due process and fair treatment in schools and juvenile and family courts. In some states, children can even receive medical help without parent consent. Okay, laws can be enacted at a local level too. An example is a curfew law. I believe we have a curfew law here. In addition, local citizen groups often become advocates of children's rights. These groups attempt to get needed laws passed and notify the appropriate people when it seems a child's rights have been violated. Men and women who are knowledgeable about child development make excellent advocates. So you would be a good advocate after taking this class. All right, so we're going to take some time to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Abraham Maslow was a very important psychologist. He was one of the first people to research needs. Okay, and so as a good responsible parent, you need to be able to meet all of your child's needs. Okay, although his ideas were used to understand what motivates workers, his model was later extended to child development. According to Maslow, people strive to fulfill the needs in their hierarchy. Okay, that's on the screen, that little triangle. He called this the hierarchy of human needs. The first 4 levels are basic needs. These are your inborn needs. Okay, the first level includes all your physical needs. The other 3 levels are psychological needs that are related to your feelings of love, security, acceptance, and esteem. In addition to basic needs, he created a 5th level for higher level needs called self-actualization. This means to grow and feel fulfilled as a person. Self-actualization needs include the drive to pursue your talents and hobbies, to gain skills, and to learn more about the world around you. Education helps meet a person's self-actualization needs. So the education you're getting right now is hopefully helping to meet your need for self-actualization at the top of the pyramid. Complete self-actualization is a lifelong process that many people never obtain, though. Sorry, that's kind of depressing. If people's basic needs are not satisfied in order of level, they will no longer be concerned about pursuing their higher level needs. Therefore, parents and other children and other adults must first help their children meet their basic needs. For instance, you can offer your children nutritious foods. Once the basic need for food is met, you can help your children turn their attention from eating to meeting their psychological needs. These needs might include building relationships with friends and being respected by others. Higher level skills help children reach their full potential as adults, which is why they are important. All right, some more things about needs. We have 2 other noted psychologists, Brazelton and Greenspan. Okay, T. Barry Brazelton and Stanley I. Greenspan. They researched the basic needs of all children. They identified 7 needs that children have to meet to thrive and flourish for a lifetime. They call these the irreducible needs of children. Irreducible means impossible to make smaller or simpler. So these are the basic needs of all children. Okay, the needs include, number 1, ongoing nurturing relationships. Okay, a nurturing relationship is critical for all development. Children from birth through preschool years need nurturing interactions most of their waking hours. If this relationship is absent or interrupted, children are apt to develop disorders in their intellectual, social, and emotional development. The next need is physical protection, safety, and regulation. Children need an environment both before and after birth that protects them from physical and emotional harm. For example, this includes appropriate food, clothing, and shelter and protection from toxins, harm, and any other form of abuse. The next one they have is experiences tailored to individual differences. Each child has a unique temperament and a way of relating to the world of matter and people. Parents need to match the child's strengths and weaknesses with their experiences. In this way, a child will achieve his or her potential. The next irreducible need is experiences that are developmentally appropriate. Each child needs experiences tailored to his or her stage of development. Parents and those working in child-related careers need to know and apply best practices for each stage of development as the child matures. The next need is limit setting, structure, and expectations. Children need structure and discipline in their lives. Parents and other adults need to empathize with their children's feelings or understand and relate to them, but set limits as well. In this way, children can develop self-discipline and resolve conflicts in peaceful ways. They also need stable communities and cultural continuity. Children need continuity of values in family, peer groups, and the broader community. Parents and others who work with children must work together, not compete. For example, when two adults have different ideas about what they think is best for children and are unwilling to work together, this would be considered competing. Lastly, they have the need for protecting the future. People live in an interdependent nation and world. Adults must meet the needs of all children. To protect the future for one child, we have to protect the future for all of them. So I want you guys to think, what would you do? Someone tells you that childcare skills come naturally. How would you explain to this person that working in a child-related career requires lots of careful study? So think about how you would explain that to them. All right, so the Convention on the Rights of the Child, which took place at the United Nations, wrote 54 articles that set out the rights of every child in the world. These rights are given under 11 major categories. Okay? Category 1, an identity. The government should protect children's names, family ties, and nationalities. Number 2, a family. Children should be able to live with their parents unless this is not in the child's best interest. Parents have the responsibility for raising children with government support. Number 3, children have the right to express themselves and have access to information. Children have the right to express their views, have freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, and obtain information. Number 4, children have the right to a safe and healthy life. Children have the right to life. The government should do all it can to make sure children survive and develop. Children should have access to medical services and a decent standard of living. Number 6, special protection in times of war. Children who are refugees are entitled to special protection. Children who are under 15 should not take part in armed conflicts, so no child soldiers. Number 7, an education. Primary education should be free and required of all children. Secondary education should be accessible to all children. Next one, special care for the disabled. Children with disabilities have the right to special care, education, and training. Number 9, protection from discrimination. All rights apply to all children. Children have the right to practice their own cultures, religions, and languages. Number 10, protection from abuse. Children shall be protected against abuse and neglect. Government shall be involved with laws and programs concerned with abuse. Number 11, protection from harmful work. Children have the right to rest, leisure, play, and participation in cultural and artistic activities. Children have the right to be protected from having to participate in work that threatens their health, education, and development. Lastly, special treatment if arrested. Children are entitled to assistance and treatment that respect their rights. And those are the rights that all children have across the world, or should if they belong to the United Nations, which not all countries do. All right, why should we observe children? By observing children, you can learn about their growth and development. To observe children, you must focus on a task, and that is what you want to learn. For example, are boys in the block center more often than girls, and if so, why? As you observe, you learn more about children when using your mind to see more. Child developmental researchers often work on specific problems for years, even a lifetime. During your course in child development, you're going to receive assignments requiring observation of children, and these are an important part of this class for the following reasons. Observing children will help you understand what you read in this book and what you hear about children. Okay. At the same time, you will learn from your reading and class activities will help you to learn more when you observe too. What you observe will depend on the purpose of the observation. Because this course looks at the sequence of children's growth and development, you consider these principles when you observe. You too will notice behaviors that are not part of your assigned work. You will want to ask questions about what you see. This is how professional researchers learn. Like professional researchers, your assignment may cause you want to learn more about a behavior. For example, you may see 3-year-olds reciting numbers from 1 to 10. Does this mean they can count objects from 1 to 10? To find out, you may need to observe behavior more closely. Observing children can help you better interact with children in your care. You can learn this by observing how others work with children and how children react to them. When you observe adults who work with children, you can learn to imitate their successful behaviors. For instance, if you observe a teacher sitting on the floor working with children, you might try this later too. This can help you interact with children in a more positive way. Because many skills are learned through imitation, this type of observation is important. In some cases, you may be allowed to participate in the activities of children while observing. Extra helping hands are often needed and serve as a learning experience for you too. In all cases, by watching carefully, you can respond quickly if dangers if dangers arise. In this class, you will not observe in person, but you will in child development too. There are two different types of observation, okay? Direct observation means watching the children in their natural environments. These can include home, playgroups, childcare programs, schools, public places like shopping centers, parks, or restaurants. Most direct observations occur in these type of places. Researchers will often set up special laboratory settings where they can do direct observations of behaviors that do not occur in a natural environment. They may need to observe, for example, how a baby reacts when mom leaves the room and a stranger enters. That's called the strange situation experiment. Researchers also use laboratory observations to speed up the observation process. Suppose they want to observe a child balancing skills. If they go to a park with a balance beam, they may wait hours before they observe enough children to form a sample for their study. In a lab, children could arrive at the setting, walk the beam, and leave. Researchers also use laboratory settings when special equipment is needed. Observations set in labs cannot answer all questions. For instance, it would be very hard for researchers to know if children really like playing on the balance beam because they force them to. Although some information in our course is going to come from research in a lab setting, this is not the way that you're going to observe. You are going to begin by watching videos of children in natural settings. Right? And then indirect observation. Direct observation is the main way to learn about children, but we also use other methods. Sometimes you want to see something more in detail or check direct observations. This is indirect observation. This might include asking questions of parents, teachers, or children. It also includes observing products children make, like artwork, or the stories that children write. Studying test scores is also indirect observation. A researcher can gather data a lot more quickly through indirect observation than through direct observation. And although you can learn a lot from indirect observations, like children's artwork, you can learn even more when you observe the children making these products. For example, by looking at a drawing, you can notice the child has colored outside the lines. How can you tell if this is due to a lack of motor control, a damaged crayon, or a rushed coloring job? Only observing them directly would tell you the answer to those questions. Okay, so I want you guys to think about what you could learn about this child by observing their piece of art that's on the screen. So think about that. Lastly, there are some guidelines that you should follow when you are observing children. They are important for a couple different reasons. First, they protect the rights of the child you're observing and the observer. They also list proper behaviors you should follow when visiting a child care center. They're going to help you make meaningful and accurate observations. So number one, know your objectives. Objectives tell you what age of children to observe, what type of activity to observe, where to observe sometimes, how much time to spend observing, and what records to keep. Obtain permission. In public places, you can observe children without permission. Parents or other adults are more cooperative, though, if they know what you're doing. To observe in a private place, you need prior approval from your teacher and permission from the adult at the home or program. Observe only on dates and times approved by your teacher. Know what to do at the site. Sites have different procedures. You may observe in an observation room looking through a one-way mirror. At other sites, you may help with the children. Still, in other sites, you might sit away from the children. Find out in advance what you're expected to do. Ask questions at convenient time. Never interrupt a staff member who is engaged with children or an adult. Be sure observations do not distract children from regular activities. Unless you're asked to help, do not get any closer to the children than necessary. If children come to you, answer them briefly, but encourage them to return to their activities. Also, avoid talking directly to children. Your objectives should never interfere with program objectives. Observe carefully and objectively. Observe closely so you can remember the situation vividly. Many situations can affect objectivity, such as distraction, being tired, or being uncomfortable. Biases can also affect objectivity, so observers should not study their own children or children of close friends or relatives. Record accurately. When recording information, avoid leaving out information that may help you understand the situation, recording behaviors that did not occur, and having notes out of sequence. Control this by writing the time in your notes every 3 to 5 minutes. Lastly, protect the rights of children who are observed. Okay, people have privacy rights that you have to protect. Never discuss a child in front of that child or an adult except that child's teacher. Use no name or the child's first name only during class discussions. Respect parents' right to refuse your request to observe. Keep all information confidential and destroy your notes completely when they are no longer useful. Okay, we will employ some of those, but those are helpful to know in the future if you observe children. Those are the basic guidelines.